What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here once again with
Gersh1.
And we're back at it to answer more questions in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first. And that is what our... Oh, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. This is a new channel. We used to post this in the we used to post this in the One Mind Syndicate page, but now we're posting it here. So Mr. Dankstar says, which loyal Primarch could come back without serious retcons? Russ, Khan, Vulcan, Korax? That's a really good question, because if Games Workshop wants to bring back Primarchs, they have a huge problem in that a lot of the returning story or mythology lore behind these Primarchs is that it's the end times.
Yeah, it's like some apocalyptic event that's going to end humanity, or probably not really, because I mean, GW would never do something like that. Yeah. So if anything, it'd be like a Horus Heresy version 2, where like the chaos is at the gates of the Imperium once again, and all hope seems to be lost, and that's when the Primarchs come back.
Yeah, because you have that with Vulcan. He's only going to return when it's the end times, and all of his little like
relics, artifacts are back. Yeah, knickknacks.
Yeah, get collected. And then Lehman Russ, same thing. Wolfen times, the end of times. And then I feel like there was another one. Was it Rogodorn?
Because Rogodorn didn't really have anything like that. It's just he was fighting chaos, and then he got pushed into like a warp gate.
Well, one of them. It might have been Chorus Korax. But that's the problem, right? Like the problem is that if they come back, something apocalyptic has to happen.
Yeah, and we've seen apocalyptic-like events in current lore, such as with Guilliman, and then with the Lion. Like, we had an alliance between a demigod, Abaddon, you had freaking Demon Prince, Angron into the fray too. Yeah. And it's like, you have these big heavy hitters of 40K almost, well, not even trying to get to Terra, but trying to find a means to kind of obliterate Terra with like the keys that'll unlock a vault of some like apocalyptic weapon. Yeah. So it's like, the steps are there, but will we ever get to that point again? Maybe.
Do you ever feel that Games Workshop kind of screws over the bad guys? Because if you think of what happened after the 13th Black Crusade, Abaddon crushed Cadia, and then all of a sudden the Cicatrice Maledictum came up, Angron invaded Terra, Magnus invaded the moon, but guess who won?
Imperium.
So then what was the big deal of all that? Like, there is none. And I feel the same thing happened with the Lion and Vashtor, because I feel like Vashtor was in control of those ships, and that engine, I forget what it is, but it was supposed to be something super apocalyptic that he succeeded with, and it didn't do anything.
Yeah, because Angron actually blew up the engine, and that led to that whole sector of space having like, I forgot what it was called, like the Blood Tide or something like that, where everybody became essentially Khorne followers. Everybody except the Sisters of Silence, the Custodians, and the Grey Knights.
Oh, right, yeah.
So Space Marines, Guardsmen, Sisters of Battle, they all became devotees to Khorne.
And I feel that's what messes things up. Games Workshop says something super apocalyptic happened, like turning a bunch of dudes into Khorne and Berserkers, invasion of Terra, a traitor on the moon, but that's it. Yeah. Or the Plague Wars, but that's it.
They get pushed back.
Yeah. So
but I don't it was like because of a Primarch returning.
Yeah.
It's like Guilliman came back, and then his forces pushed him back. And then it was like almost all the keys were found, but then the Lion returned, and Vashtor and Abaddon got pushed back.
But then what do we get for Chaos? Like, we got Vashtor.
Sure. We got Vashtor, which sucks. Yeah. No army for him.
We got the Cicatrice Maledictum, which is, it's okay.
I mean, it split the galaxy in half.
But is it really making an effect, or is it just like a bigger Eye of Terror?
Yeah. That's what it is.
So I don't know. I don't like it. But you're right. There has to be drastic changes to the lore if we want these Primarchs to come back, because of what Games Workshop has done in the past. Yeah. Which should scare everyone, because if they're willing to change female Adeptus Custodes, what else are they willing to change?
That's true.
I don't want Sanguinius to come back. If we do, I'm going to cry. Next question.
This one is by Inferno SK. Chaos Gods cannot be killed because Detroit doesn't exist in 40K.
I don't get that. Detroit kills gods?
I mean, sure.
Is it because of the whole Detroit was a hub of industry and industry was destroyed because of, I don't know. I really don't know.
I saw the gears turning, but they didn't go anywhere.
Next question.
Crash R1. So the Tau always seem to be the least of humanity's problems. Do you think that dealing with more pressing issues will allow the Tau to finally become the biggest threat, maybe in the 50K era?
No, so the Tau's biggest problem is themselves. It's not even humanity. They don't have a way to leave. Well, I mean, they kind of have the star-tide nexus, but even that is like kind of wishy-washy as far as them traveling the Imperium. So, yeah, I see the Tau having a lot of hurdles to jump through that don't even involve the Imperium.
Yeah, like right now they're only on the eastern part of the Imperium-controlled space. And even then, like, they weren't really a threat. Like, the Imperium was only sending a little bit their way, and they were getting pushed back. So if they really wanted to, I think the Imperium can just wash them out.
Yeah.
But that would mean too much resources, too much time, and that'll lead other, like, forces to take control of Imperium-controlled space. So it's like, yeah, they're a pest, but nothing to that level.
And I think something that shows how Games Workshop just really doesn't care about the Tau is the fact that we got new models for the Tau line, but they're crew.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Games Workshop does not care about the Tau right now. Next question comes from Magos Dominus. Would Henry Cavill make a good Emperor? No.
Yeah, give him something where he can actually, like, act and be active in. Because, like, the Emperor, he was active in 30K, but, like, he wasn't, like, the main character, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you guys should check out the One Mind Syndicate podcast channel because we're doing a series of, like, what actor would play Lorgar, Ferrus Manus, that kind of thing. And I think when we talk about stories within the Imperium, it's difficult because the Imperium is, or within 40K, because the 40K is so big. I feel like if they try to retell the Horus Heresy, they'll be messing up. And I feel like that's what Henry Cavill wants to do.
Yeah. It's like, it almost makes sense to just have a smaller, concise story with more drama and stuff than, like, a huge, overarching, like, 20 movie with, like, filler, like, storylines and stuff like that. Because that's, I feel like DC tried to do that, and obviously they failed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, Cavill can play a good Eisenhorn or something like that, and we could see humanity through the eyes of an actual human, and then we'll see the spectacle that is the Space Marine instead of just jumping into the Space Marines and we see everything in their point of view. Because, like, when you're looking at it in the point of a Space Marine, it's like, what? Like, they're already up here. Like, what else is there above them besides, like, Primarchs and stuff like that? Where if you're looking at it in the point of a humanity, you see the grander scope of, you know, the Necrons, the Tyranids, like, almost like where it's untold odds and you really are the underdog. Whereas if you're a Space Marine, then it's almost like an even playing field.
I think the Fallout movie or TV show did a good job of kind of showcasing how, like, there are elite units in the form of, I forget what they're called. But
The
those,
Brotherhood of Iron.
yeah, that was pretty cool.
But at the same time, it's like they had their weaknesses. They were kind of heavy. They were a little bit slow.
Which I think Space Marines should be given the weakness. Another aspect of what you were saying is that I wish they create something that can stand by itself and then later on go back to the Horus Heresy or explain the universe. Because, number one, they're, like, the core of Warhammer 40K is the game, the sandbox element of it, not the books, which a lot of people don't really understand. And then the other thing is do like a Star Wars type of situation where, what's his name, the director?
George Lucas.
George Lucas.
Yeah.
Do what George Lucas did of telling the story that, like, the small story before telling the big grand story of 1, 2, and 3, right? So that kind of thing of tell 40K and then tell 30K.
Yeah.
But we'll see what Henry Cavill decides and Amazon decides and GW decides and what the viewership does with the whole rage machine that they are.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Vezar Azio. Do you guys wipe or let it crust?
I mean, I think crusting it is, like, the most, I mean, it's the obvious answer.
Yeah, you let it crust and then you take a shower.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, I'm talking about enamel washes.
Yeah, you gotta let the enamel wash crust.
And then you wipe it off.
Yeah.
I haven't used enamel washes yet, but if you want that grim dark look to your minis, the tutorials that I've seen on YouTube using that stuff is so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely let it crust and then wipe or clean. And last question. Ooh, this is a multiple part question by BKH. Could a female Adeptus Custodes kill a Chaos God?
No.
Another question. Are there actually any female Adeptus Custodes?
Currently 2 named ones in the 10th edition codex.
Do you support the retcon of the existing lore in 40K?
I mean, everything gets retconned.
I don't support it. I think it was foolish for Games Workshop to do this.
Yeah. My stance is, okay, whatever, but GW should focus on other things first.
For sure, yeah.
Like I said, Sisters of Silence definitely needed that love more so than we needed female Custodes.
Yeah, I have a tear every night comes down my face as I realize that the 40 Facts videos I've done on the Adeptus Custodes are all wrong.
Yeah, we got to go back and change them now.
But I read from the wiki.
The codex says it.
Yeah. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, as always, guys, this has been the Sound Alchemist.
Kirsch 1.
And we will see you next time.